Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith, and today I'm going to be going over my review for the Dark Denizens of Mirkwood. Now, the Dark Denizens of Mirkwood are a really interesting faction. They're kind of on their own with how they play. Basically, it's all spiders, bats and Fellwalkers, and that's awesome. So if you want a really fun list that is completely different to what most people go with, these are the guys for you. Now, we'll jump straight into this. I'll get to the competitive chat at the end of once I've spoken about all the profiles and stuff like that, and how I play this army. So, what can this army have? Well, we've got the Spider Queen, Mirkwood spiders, giant spiders, bat swarms, and Fellwalkers. Oh, awesome. And their army bonus. Basically, their army bonus is, as long as you have the Spider Queen, warbands composed entirely of warg models do not need a hero as long as you have at least 6 of them. Or if you have a whole spider warband, you don't need a hero as long as you have 2 of them. And warbands that are mixed of different models do not need a hero as long as you have 10 or more models. You pick one of the warriors and they'll act as the captain for the purposes of deployment. So, who have we got? We've got the big bad Spider Queen. Now, she's a hero of valor, and she's 115 points. So, what do you get for that? You get a movement 10 model. That is fight 6, 6 plus shoot value. Not that that's important. She's strength 6, which is respectable, absolutely. Only defense 4, which is really squishy. 2 attacks, which is not great either. 3 wounds, courage 4, 3 might, 3 will, and no fate. The defense 4 and no fate is an issue, but 2 attacks doesn't sound like a lot. But we'll get to it. We'll get to the next bit. She's got large venomous fangs as her war gear, and she's got the heroic actions strike and defense. My 2 favourites, so perfect. I'm happy with that. Special rules. Monstrous charge. Yeah, you can be knocking cavalry over with her. And she is a monster, so she can rend and do all that good stuff as well. But with monstrous charge, at 2 attacks, you're knocking someone down to the ground, who's cavalry or whatever. When you're striking at them, you've got 4 strength 6 attacks. And she's got venom as a special rule as well. So strength 6, re-rolling. Horrible. So it's really strong. That's really strong. If you get to the position where you win a fight, you will probably kill whatever's on the floor, unless they're super duper tanky or really lucky with fate saves. She's got swift movement, so she flies over terrain with no dramas whatsoever, and she causes terror because she's a massive spider. Now, she's got the special rule, or ability, progeny. Basically, during any point in her move phase, the Spider Queen may expend any number of remaining will points to summon a broodling. For each will point expended, in this way, place a single broodling base anywhere within 3 inches of the spider, but it must not be in base contact with enemy models. Broodlings may move and charge on the turn in which they were summoned, which is really handy actually. You can stop charges coming in and stuff like that, tie people up, or you can use their control zones to, make it awkward for the enemy. And broodlings are not counted for when you're working out if the force is broken because they've been summoned in, basically. Broodlings, what do? They're pretty terrible, but they're kind of free. They are movement 10, they're fight 2, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage 2. So, not the best, but hey, they could be useful. I've used them, and I've stopped some really scary things charging into my leader. And instead go, there you go, have some broodlings to fight. Then we've got the Mirkwood spider. So, 20 points for this spider. She is, or he, probably a she. I don't know how spiders work, but hey ho. They're fight 2, which is not great. Strength 5, which is fantastic. Oh, and their shoot value is 5+, and that's very important. Their defense 3, which is absolutely horrendous. 2 attacks, which is good. 2 wounds, and courage 2. So the courage 2 is an issue. And defense 3, but it's only a spider. We'll get venomous fangs. They have poisoned fangs, so they're re-rolling 1s to wound. Swift movement, so they're flying over terrain, and they cause terror. Now, why is their shoot value important? Well, they've got spider webs, and basically what this does is it counts as a throwing weapon with a range of 8. If the Mirkwood spider hits the target, do not roll to wound. Instead, the model suffers the effect of the paralyzed magical power. A hero that is hit by the web can choose to expend a fate point in the same manner as if it had just suffered a wound in order to dodge the attack. If successful, the target is not paralyzed. That is massive. That is so good. It is incredible. 20 points to get, 3 paralyzed magical powers going off on a 5+ if you're charging in, or if you're standing still. 6 is not so great, but it does happen if they have moved half their movement. And then we've got the giant spider, your foot soldiers. 20 points again, and what can they do? They are movement 10, fight 4, so better fight. Higher than most normal warriors, but 20 points you'd expect it. Shoot value 6+, but they don't shoot. They've got strength 5, which is awesome. Defense 3, terrible. 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 3. So they're slightly better. They're your foot soldiers. They're your fighters. And they've got venomous fangs again. So poisoned fangs, rerolling 1s to wound. Strength 5 is quite important. Swift movement, and they cause terror. They're really good. Really, really good. I really like them. They're just a bit squishy, that's all. But they've got 2 wounds, so it kind of makes up for it. Kind of. And then we got Bat Swarm. So, 35 points for these. They are movement 3, but they can fly. I'll just say that right now, they can fly. So you've got 12 inches, do whatever you want. They're fight 1, so they're not 4 fighting. Shoot value 5+, but that's not important. They're strength 3, defense 3, 2 attacks, and 4 wounds, courage 2. 4 wounds is fantastic. Okay, it's going to be hard to shift these guys. Unless they focus fire into one of them, or direct a bunch of attacks into one of them, yeah. But why would you bring these, you say? Well, for their blinding swarm ability. If anyone knows Moria, you'll know what these guys do. The fight value of enemy models engaged in combat with a bat swarm is halved, rounding down. Rounding down! That is absolutely fantastic. Rounding down, it opens up a lot of things, because your Spider Queen is fight 6. So if you charge her in, and you get a bat swarm in as well, no matter what the hero's fight is, it could be fight 10, and your Spider Queen is still going to have a higher fight value. So if she rolls a 6, she's winning the fight. That's what they're there for. It is really good, really good. You have to be careful not to get them, pulled off by another model charging into them. But other than that, if you get a bat swarm in and your Spider Queen and she's charged, you got a pretty decent chance of killing whatever you've charged. And then, before we forget them, we've got the Fellwalker. 8 points for these guys. Movement 10, fight 3. Their strength 4, defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 2. They all get claws and teeth, and they've got fell sight, so they can charge models that they don't have line of sight to, which can be handy. Sometimes. It's rarely ever come up, but it can be handy. So, yeah. Are these guys competitive, firstly? On their own? No. Not really. I mean, you can win with them. The good thing about Middle-earth strategy battle game is you can win with every faction. Pretty much. Almost. Okay? There is such thing as bad, matchups, bad dice rolls, but you can technically win with every single faction. There's not many instances where it's going to be an instant loss. If you use this army and you're going against a gun line of some kind, you're going to struggle, but they're really quick as well, and you should have plenty of terrain on the board, because that's how the game is intended to be played, so you can hide, and with your swift movement, you'll fly over hedges and things like that, so that's a bonus. What the pros of these army? We'll go with pros and cons. Pros, really fast, really maneuverable, and I love that in an army. You can grab objectives, you can get where you need to be, you can disrupt enemy plans if they're trying to flank or do or any kind of shenanigans. You can disrupt them with movement 10. Some of the models have movement 12 if they can fly. Absolutely brilliant. That's one pro. Another pro, there's a lot of high strength in this army. So strength 5. I think apart from like the broodlings and the bats, yeah, you got strength 4 from the warg, and then everything has strength 5 or strength 6. So they've got killing power behind them, and they've all the spiders got 2 attacks. So you got a good chance. good chance of killing stuff, and you're re-rolling ones. The Queen herself, Queenie, she's got Venom, so she's re-rolling all failed wounds. Monstrous charge. She can rend. It's fantastic. She's yeah, I do like her. But yeah, the downsides, the cons to this army, very squishy. Very, very squishy. What's your highest defense? Defense 4? Yeah, defense 4 on your Queen and the Fellwalkers. That's not great, because even really bad bows, so strength 2 normal human bows, are wounding you on 5s. So yeah, not great. Not great at all. If the enemy have an Avenger Bolt Thrower, they're going to chew through you easily. But you can make up with that by being super quick and playing with your brain. So by playing with your brain is you've got to plan ahead. You've got to plan where your guys are going to be going, how you can get into like combat, especially because that's what you want to do. You want to get into combat. You don't want to be shot at the entire game. If you don't have any shooting, if they don't have any shooting against you, you're you should be alright to get into combat. But the other con to this army is they have no shooting apart from the webs. And I'm going to put that as a pro as well. They've got Paralyze that they can just chuck out. Awesome. So, how do you play this army? Okay, so you want a good mix of Mirkwood spiders and giant spiders. Now, giant spiders, I don't think they make anymore. They're out of production. But I've converted my own. I use the Goblin Rider, the Goblin Spider Riders from Age of Sigmar, well, Fantasy when I bought them. And all you have to do is kind of like pull the legs in slightly, the front legs, to fit the cavalry base. And I green stuffed some fur over the weird skull icons on their things and filled in some of the gaps on the legs that I had to kind of break in. They're not too hard to convert. Not too hard at all. And I've done it. You can get third-party models, but it depends if you have to stick with Games Workshop models, if you want to bring them to an event or anything like that. If you bring them to an event, I applaud you, because I have not seen these guys at an event. I've seen Mirkwood spiders, certainly, but not a Dark Denizen of Mirkwood list at all. So you could be one of the first. You could win an event with these guys. I haven't heard of it happening, so if you have, do let me know, but I have not heard of it happening. So anyway, you want a good mix of them, because you want to be chucking out the Paralyze, and you want your fighting troops. You want a lot of, you want the Strength 5 in your list. Obviously, you've got to bring the Queen, otherwise you have to. You literally have to, and why wouldn't you? She's pretty good. And I would most certainly bring at least two, if not more, spiders, bat swarms. Just because you can go for the combo of, say, anything, any kind of hero model. Think of an elf, Gil-galad, there we go. Highest fight value. Chuck a bat swarm into him, and follow up with the Spider Queen charging into him. If you can chuck another spider in, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So if you do that, and then using your high movement from Fellwalkers, because you're going to want a few of them in your list as well, because they're quite cheap, and you want to round out the numbers. Because if you only bring spiders and bats, you're not going to have many numbers because they're 20 points a model. Okay, so yeah, and they're quite easily killed. So you want Fellwalkers, you want some Fellwalkers, and they're good at screening, they're good at cannon fodder, they're good at that kind of stuff. But I used to use Fellwalkers to isolate combats. So if I had priority and I charged Gil-galad again, bat swarm in there, Spider Queen, extra spider for good measure, and then Fellwalkers, make a little ring around it so no one can peel off any of those models, because you don't want that, because you want Gil-galad dead, because Gil-galad is probably going to be the leader. And at that point, if any of your models, 2 attacks for your spider, you've got 2 attacks for your bat swarm, and you've got 2 attacks for, well, 3 attacks on the charge for your queen. So that's pretty crazy, because that means that 6 attacks from the queen coming out at strength 6, re-rolling to wound, and then you've got 4 attacks from the giant spider at strength 5, re-rolling 1s to wound, and you've got 4 attacks coming from your bat swarm. Only strength 3, but strength 3 still can hurt. And you've got a very good chance of killing whatever's on that floor that you've just knocked over. If you wanted to go for the Mega Wombo combo, you can chuck a Mirkwood spider in with its throwing weapon and see if you roll a 5+, and they're paralyzed. And that just screws with people. So yeah, it really screws with people and heroes. If they don't want to use their fate, especially if you've got Gil-galad who's only got like 1 fate, yeah, they're not going to waste it on a paralyze. But at the end of the day, if they get paralysed and a spider mutant's coming in and he's half his fight value and an extra spider, he's probably dead. So, it's up to you. So, what other tricks can we play with these guys? Well, I know this, being on the receiving end. If a Mirkwood spider, just like literally, you want them up there and you want to be 8 inches away from the enemy and you want to be spitting web at them the whole time, because even if you get a grunt, a warrior here or there, a banner bearer, if you hit a banner bearer, that's it, they're paralysed. They can't do anything unless they roll a 6 in the end phase. And then your opponent can sacrifice models to stand in base contact with that model to then like roll an extra dice pretty much to see if they get out of the paralysed, break out the web. And if you get like a few models in that, that's so good. If you fire it into heroes, you might not paralyse them because they might use fate, but still, they're using a fate point on a paralyze instead of a wound roll. And if it's their leader, it's just easier to kill their leader. And killing the leader's always good. Always, always good. So, yeah, use your maneuverability, flank around, make them fight on different fronts, and then you want to try and isolate any target you want to kill. So, their leader especially, or any other problem heroes. And you use the Spider Queen in there with the Bat Swarm. Simple as that. To be fair, the Bat Swarm can help your normal spiders out, because at fight 4, they'll have to be fight 8 or 9 to tie with you. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you played this army, please let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know how you fared, or if you played against it, because I'd love to hear what you think. And thank you ever so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.